Well, we're still working on the new format. We'll probably hit on that in the next week or so. Anyway, today I was reading this morning in the Mundaka Upanishad, one of the old classic stories for kind of outlining the condition of ourselves in this current moment. And it's the story of the two birds. And for those of you not familiar, really it's the story of what it is to be a human being with these two different selves that are within us. This higher realized self that's the observer of all things, and this lower self which has forgotten its divine nature and is tasting of the fruits of the world, bitter and sweet, through the different senses. So the story goes like this. There are two birds of golden plumage, inseparable companions. The individual self and the immortal self are perched on the branches of the self-same tree. The former tastes of the sweet and bitter fruits of the tree. The latter, tasting of neither, calmly observes. The individual self, deluded by the forgetfulness of his identity with the divine self, bewildered by his ego, grieves and is sad. But when he recognizes the worshipful Lord as his own true self and beholds his glory, he grieves no more. When the seer beholds the effulgent one, the Lord, the Supreme Being, then transcending both good and evil and freed from impurities, he unites himself with him. The Lord is the one life shining forth from every creature. Seeing him present in all, the wise man is humble, puts not himself forward. His delight is in the self. His joy is in the self. He serves the Lord in all. Such as he, indeed, are the true knowers of Brahman. The effulgent self is to be realized within the lotus of the heart by continence, by steadfastness in truth, by meditation, and by superconscious vision. Their impurities washed away, the seers realize him. So these two birds within us, that one silent bird that's sitting on the branch, knowing its divine nature, and in that knowledge, absolutely content, no need to flutter around the tree, tasting the different fruits. And that lower self, which has forgotten its relationship or its identity with the divine self, tied to the body and mind as its identity, feels the need to ever increase, to ever consume, feels the discontent, and wants to taste the bitter fruits and the good fruits. But in that confusion, we pay the price through our karma, our smallness, the meaninglessness of life, the loneliness, the lack of power to become what we want to become, the inability to control ourselves and find inspiration within. All of those things conquer us, or conquer that lower self, until it realizes, it remembers its divine nature, through the practices of what? Practices of continence. Now that's a controversial one today. Nobody likes sex to be vilified. Well, they're not vilifying sex. It doesn't have to do with sex, whether it's good or evil. This has to do with identity of self. As a matter of fact, this drive for lust, in and of itself, Thakur says that with greed, is the reason that we don't see the divine in each other, because we're judging each other by these lower standards, because of the sex drive, because of attraction and aversion, because of wanting to be beautiful. And since all of that belongs to the youthful body and the youthful mind, we long for that youth which is passing away every day. So its ultimate end is misery. Its ultimate end is bitterness. And for those who have indulged in it their whole life as a life pattern, in the end, it's lonely when you can no longer get your objects of desire. So he says continence is very important, because that is one of the main functions that ties you to the body, ties you to gender, and creates your attractions and aversions in this world. So yes, that has to be transcended. Your notion of yourself as a body and using it to derive pleasure from others has to be walked away from. In and of itself, it's nothing, but its cause in you is going to be your undoing, your sadness, if it's not learned to be controlled and mitigated and brought up to the heart, so we can see people differently than as objects. So he says continence by steadfastness and truth. It's in our integrity. Saying, thinking, and doing are always in alignment. And knowing that truth, that the ultimate reality is that we are divine, that we are one without a second, and that all of this multiplicity was due to lust and greed. As odd as that seems. But meditating on that, which is the third thing, meditation on that truth, is what makes it obvious, is what allows you to see the truth of these things as you begin to unpack them and see how the mind works, see how the body works, see where your confusions are happening. And by superconscious vision, those lucky ones who get that superconscious vision, these are those signposts along the way in your meditation, these experiences that you will have that encourage you and let you know you're on the right path. All of them well described in the scriptures and by the gurus. So yes, you are that bird of beautiful plumage, ever content, sitting high up in the tree, watching your lower self run around like crazy, trying to enjoy the world, gathering things that will disappear tomorrow, and then having to gather more continually. But that knowledge of your perfection, that knowledge of your immortality, that knowledge of your love and intelligence will be the source of your peace, your tranquility. So, from the Mundaka Upanishad,